The Willpower Lie. One of the steps in this video is so stupidly simple, it takes 10 seconds before bed, that researchers found it boosts follow-through by over 40%. But first, picture this. It's Monday morning. You set the alarm early, you bought the journal, you meal prepped chicken and broccoli like a person who has their life together. By Thursday, you're hitting snooze 3 times, the journal's under a pile of laundry, and you're eating cereal on the couch at 10 p.m. watching a show you don't even like. And the voice in your head says the same thing it always says. You just didn't want it badly enough. That's the willpower lie. The idea that self-improvement is a test of character, that the people who change are the ones who grit their teeth harder. Sounds logical, right? It's not. Psychologist Roy Baumeister ran a famous experiment. He put people in a room with fresh-baked cookies and radishes. One group got to eat the cookies. The other had to resist the cookies and eat the radishes. Then both groups were given an impossible puzzle. The cookie group lasted 19 minutes. The radish group, they quit after 8. Same puzzle, same people. But the radish group had already burned through their willpower resisting the cookies. Willpower isn't a personality trait. It's a battery. And every decision you make, what to eat, whether to bite your tongue in that meeting, whether to scroll or sleep, drains it. By the time you get home from work, the battery's already at 3%. And that's when you're supposed to make the good choices. That's not a plan. That's a setup for failure. Now, modern research has added nuance. Some scientists argue willpower isn't strictly a tank that empties. It might be more like a muscle that fatigues, or even a motivation allocation problem. But here's what every camp agrees on. Relying on willpower alone is the worst possible strategy for long-term change. The people who actually stick with change, who exercise for years, who build businesses, who read every day, they're not more disciplined than you. They've just rigged the game so the right choice is the easy choice. That's what this video is. 8 ways to rig the game so you stop fighting yourself and start making change automatic. No motivation speeches, no grind culture, just systems that work when your battery's dead. Your willpower was never the problem. Your system was. Shrink the ask. Here's the plan that kills most people. Monday morning, fresh motivation, you declare, I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes every single day. By Wednesday, you're too tired. By Thursday, you feel guilty. By Friday, the cushion is buried under laundry and the whole thing is dead. Stanford researcher B.J. Fogg spent decades studying this exact failure, and his solution sounds almost insulting. Don't meditate for 30 minutes. Sit on the cushion and take one breath. That's it, one breath. Your brain hears that and goes, that's too easy, that doesn't count. But that reaction is exactly why it works. Fogg calls it the 2-minute rule. Make the new behavior so absurdly small that saying no feels harder than saying yes. Want to read more? Don't commit to a chapter. Open the book and read one sentence. Want to work out? Put on your shoes and step outside. You're done. Now here's the neuroscience that makes this click. Your brain doesn't care how long you did the thing. It cares how many times you did the thing. Every repetition lays down myelin, the insulation around the neural wire. Thicker myelin, faster signal, more automatic behavior. Duration is irrelevant at the start. 1 breath on the cushion and 30 minutes on the cushion lay down the same wire. The difference is that the 1-breath person actually shows up on Thursday and Friday and the week after that. And here's what nobody tells you about the tiny version. It almost never stays tiny. You sit down for 1 breath and think, well, I'm already here. And suddenly it's 10 minutes. Not because you forced it, because the hard part was never the meditation. It was starting. But here's the deeper shift that matters more than any single session. You're not building a meditation habit. You're becoming a person who meditates. Every time you show up, even for 1 breath, you're casting a vote for that identity. And votes compound. The goal isn't the habit. The goal is showing up. Scale comes free after the circuit is wired. Design the default. Here's a question nobody asks. How many of your daily decisions are actually yours? Researchers Thaler and Sunstein spent years studying something called choice architecture. The idea that the way options are arranged changes which option people pick. Not sometimes, almost always. Put fruit at eye level in a cafeteria, fruit sales spike. Bury it on the bottom shelf, nobody touches it. Same fruit, same people, different default. Now here's the part that should terrify you. Your home is a cafeteria, and you designed the layout without thinking about it once. Your phone is on the couch. The guitar is in the closet. The running shoes are under a pile of laundry. You didn't choose to scroll for 2 hours. The room chose for you. Sean Achor, a Harvard researcher, discovered something he calls the 20-second rule. If you reduce the friction to start a good habit by just 20 seconds, you are dramatically more likely to do it. And if you add 20 seconds of friction to a bad habit, even something as dumb as taking the batteries out of the remote, you're dramatically less likely to do it. 20 seconds. That's the entire difference between the version of you that practices guitar and the version that rewatches the same show for the 4th time. So here's how you weaponize this. Want to work out in the morning? Set your shoes and clothes at the foot of the bed the night before. Want to eat better? Put the meal prep at eye level in the fridge and move the junk food to the back of the highest shelf. Want to stop doom scrolling? Plug your phone charger in a different room. Make your bed the place where you sleep, not the place where you lose an hour to strangers arguing about parking. Remember the cereal from earlier? Here's the real lesson. If cereal is on the counter and meal prep is buried in the back of the fridge, cereal wins. Every single time. Not because you're weak, because the environment already voted before you opened your eyes. So stop trying to beat the room and start rigging it. Stack, don't start. Here's why most new habits die. You're asking your brain to do something from a dead stop. No cue, no momentum, no trigger. Just raw willpower versus your couch, and your couch is undefeated. But what if you never had to cold start anything? What if every new habit got a running start for free? That's habit stacking, and the formula is almost embarrassingly simple. After I do something I already do, I will do the new thing. Psychologist Peter Gallwitzer studied this for decades. He called them implementation intentions, specific if-then plans that tell your brain exactly when to fire. Here's why it works. Your existing habits already have superhighways in your brain, thick myelinated neural pathways that fire on autopilot. You don't decide to brush your teeth. You don't motivate yourself to pour coffee. Those circuits just run. Habit stacking hijacks that superhighway. You're not building a new road from scratch. You're adding an exit ramp to one that already exists. So let's make this real. After I pour my morning coffee, I write one sentence. Not a page, not a paragraph. One sentence. After I sit down in my car, I take one deep breath before turning the key. After I put my kid to bed, I read one page. Notice, none of these require an alarm. None require remembering. The existing habit is the reminder. And this is the part most people miss. The stack has to attach to a habit that's already bulletproof, something you do every single day without thinking. Stack onto after I meditate when you meditate twice a week. That stack collapses. Stack onto after I flush the toilet. Bulletproof. Willpower fails because it's a cold start every single time. Stacking gives you a running start, and the road is already paved. The 10-second trick. Okay, remember the opening of this video, the stupidly simple bedtime trick that boosts follow-through by over 40%? Here it is. Before you go to sleep, you write down one sentence, your specific plan for tomorrow. That's it. That's the whole trick. 10 seconds, one sentence, and your brain does something wild with it overnight. Psychologist Peter Gallwitzer called these implementation intentions. His meta-analysis with Pascal Sheeran found they increase your odds of actually doing the thing by 40 to 60%. Here's why. Most people go to bed thinking something like, I'll work out tomorrow. That feels like a plan. It is not a plan. It is a wish wearing a plan's clothes. Because when your alarm goes off, your brain has to answer 5 questions in real time. When, where, what workout, how long, and what do I wear? Each question is a fork in the road. And every fork is an opportunity for your half-asleep brain to say, you know what, let's just stay in bed. But a specific written plan eliminates all 5 decisions in advance. You write, at 7 a.m., I will do 15 minutes of a leg workout in the garage. When, where, what, done. Your brain filed that as a completed decision before you even fell asleep. So when the alarm hits, there's no deliberation, no internal negotiation. You just execute. Like the decision was already made. Because it was. Think of it like GPS. You wouldn't get in your car and just say, I want to go somewhere nice. You'd type in the address. Your written plan is the address. The more specific the when, where, and what, the more automatic the execution becomes. And here's the beautiful part. This stacks with everything we've already covered. Shrink the ask, write that down. Stack it onto an existing habit, write that down. Set out your shoes the night before, write it down. 10 seconds, one sentence, And suddenly tomorrow isn't a mystery. It's a mission briefing your past self already approved. Make it visible. Jerry Seinfeld was once asked how he became one of the greatest comedians alive. His answer had nothing to do with talent, timing, or connections. He said, "Get a big wall calendar. Every day you write new material, put a big red X on that day. After a few days, you'll have a chain. Your only job is, don't break the chain." That's it. That's the whole system. And it works because of something way deeper than motivation. Loss aversion. Your brain hates losing something it already has roughly twice as much as it enjoys gaining something new. So, on day 14, you don't go for a walk because you're inspired. You go because there are 13 red X's on that wall staring at you, and the idea of a blank gap in the middle makes your stomach turn. The streak becomes its own fuel. You're not relying on willpower anymore. You're relying on the fact that humans are psychologically allergic to breaking patterns they can see. And here's the thing. It has to be physical. A paper calendar, a whiteboard on the fridge, not an app. Because an app lives behind a lock screen. You can swipe it away. A calendar on your wall confronts you every time you walk past it. You can't close that tab. A meta-analysis by Harkin and colleagues looked at 138 studies and found that simply monitoring a behavior, just tracking it, no other intervention, significantly increases the chance you'll actually do it. No coach, no accountability partner, no fancy routine, just the act of making the invisible visible. But here's where most people blow it up. They miss one day and they think the whole thing is ruined. The streak is gone, so why bother? This is all-or-nothing thinking, and it's the #1 killer of behavior change. So here's the rule that saves everything. Never miss twice. 1 miss is an accident. 2 misses is a new pattern. You missed Monday? Fine. Tuesday isn't optional. You're not restarting. You're proving that one bad day doesn't define the system. The chain has a scar. Scars are fine. Scars mean it survived. You don't need discipline to keep a streak alive. You just need a wall you can't avoid, and a marker that feels good to uncap. Temptation bundling. A researcher at Wharton had a problem. She loved trashy audiobooks, the kind with shirtless covers and zero literary value, but she couldn't get herself to the gym. So Katie Milkman made herself a rule. She could only listen to the audiobooks she was hooked on while she was on the elliptical. Nowhere else, only at the gym. Suddenly, she wasn't dragging herself to work out. She was rushing to the gym to find out what happened in Chapter 12. Then she tested it on 226 people. The group who could only access their guilty pleasure audiobooks at the gym went 51% more often than the control group. She called it temptation bundling. Take something you need to do and weld it to something you can't resist. Your favorite true crime podcast? Only during meal prep. That guilty pleasure reality show? Only while you're stretching. The fancy oat milk latte? Only during your deep work block. Here's why it works at the brain level. Normally, your dopamine system gives you a reward after you finish something hard. But that's too late. The decision to start already happened, and dopamine wasn't there to help. Temptation bundling moves the reward to the front. Dopamine fires at the cue, not the finish line. You're not enduring the workout to earn the audiobook later. The audiobook is the workout. But here's the part most people skip. The bundle only works if the reward is exclusive. If you listen to the same podcast everywhere, in the car, in bed, doing dishes, there's no reason to pair it with the hard thing. It has to be a hostage situation. The podcast lives at the gym. Period. You're not fighting your cravings. You're weaponizing them. The thing you can't stop wanting becomes the engine that drives the thing you keep avoiding. Identity over outcomes. Here's the question that separates people who change from people who just try really hard for a while. Are you chasing a result or becoming a different person? Because lose 20 pounds is a goal, and goals have a nasty design flaw. Until you hit them, you're failing. Every single day you haven't lost the weight. Your brain files that as evidence that you're not the kind of person who can do this. Researchers Desai and Ryan spent decades studying what actually sustains motivation. And it's not rewards, it's not discipline, it's identity. When a behavior becomes part of who you are, not something you're forcing yourself to do, willpower becomes irrelevant. You don't need willpower to brush your teeth because toothbrusher isn't an aspiration. It's just you. So here's the shift. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. One push-up doesn't give you a six-pack, but it is a vote for I'm someone who exercises. One page doesn't make you a scholar, But it's a vote for I'm someone who reads. You don't need a unanimous vote. You just need a majority. Some days you'll eat pizza at midnight. That's a vote in the other direction. Fine, one vote doesn't decide the election. And this is why every single step in this video works. Not because they require superhuman effort, but because they generate identity evidence on autopilot. Shrinking the ask? That's a vote. Stacking onto coffee? Vote. Writing your plan in 10 seconds before bed? That's a vote so easy it barely counts as effort, but your brain counts it anyway. Enough votes and something wild happens. You stop saying, I'm trying to be healthier. You just say, I don't skip workouts. It's not effort anymore. It's just who you are. Remember where we started? The alarm goes off, the journal stays closed, and by Thursday you're back on the couch questioning your entire existence over a bowl of cereal. That's not you anymore. Not because you got tougher, not because you found some hidden reserve of discipline, because you stopped relying on willpower and started rigging the game. You shrank the ask. You designed the defaults. You stacked, you tracked, you bundled, and every tiny move cast a vote, until the votes weren't even close. You're not someone who's trying to change. You're someone who rigged the game, and the game is finally rigged in your favor. If even one of these steps clicked for you, subscribe, because we break down the science of real behavior change every week. Pick one step, just one. Try it tonight. Your Thursday self will thank you.